Liberals realized waving Mexican flags was a bad look, so they started passing out American flags, saying, wave these flags instead. It's better optics. And the crowd said thanks and took the American flags and burned them. One of the guys organizing these riots said this is war.
This weekend was marked with absolute and total violence, brutal repression, and attacks, coordinated attacks against our community. For us as indigenous people to these lands, to this continent, this is nothing new. The military going after us is nothing new. We don't advocate for violence, but when they use brutal violence against our people and kidnapping mothers and fathers from children is violent. When they do things like that, we have every right, every historic right to defend our communities by any ways that we can, and we're going to continue to do so.
CNN says we should just raise the white flag and let Mexico have California back.
Remember that California was part of Mexico. All of the Southwest is Mexico. So the roots are really deep in that region. And what they're saying is, no, not in our community.
We won the Mexican-American War. Mexico signed a treaty. LA is not an Indian reservation. I'm sorry, it's a part of the United States. Notice how the rest of the media isn't even interviewing the rioters. It's almost like they don't ask questions because they know they're not going to like the answers. Here's why.
We don't agree with the term illegal. We're undocumented. We've been here for thousands of years before you guys showed up, screw up everything. We're anti-capitalist. We think socialism does work, real socialism.
Is there a country we can look to kind of model the socialism idea?
The only model would be Soviet Union, the first 4 years.
That right there says it all. So guess what side the Democrats are on?
Let me be clear. Congressional Democrats stand in full solidarity with the residents of Los Angeles, with our immigrant sisters and brothers, and with the peaceful protesters who dare to speak out and who will support every effort to oppose this president's abuse of power.
Democrats are telling cops to stand down and rioters to stand up. LA Mayor Karen Bass says the riots will stop once the ICE raids stop.
I would say stop the raids. Stop the raids, period. I would say give the power back to our governor. And if we need the National Guard, we can do it in the normal circumstances, which is the request is made local and the governor decides or not to grant that to our city.
Guys, I have been saying this for like the last few days. Who's responsible for this? It's not the protesters. I mean, it is, but it's not the rioters. It is, but who's responsible is the leadership, because they wouldn't still be out there. It would be over and done if the leadership would say, no, this is wrong, it needs to stop. But because they're supporting the protesters and rioters from the top, from the leadership of California. So sad, guys. Do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up like button. We're going to continue watching this clip, guys, because there's a lot more to see here.
We're getting extorted by the LA mayor. It's like a hostage crisis, but she's threatening to burn her own city down. Trump, not a guy who likes being extorted.
Mr. President, these protests obviously started in reaction to these large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country? No. And will similar protests see similar response?
As you know, we're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the auto pen. The auto pen really did it. We're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here.
The LA mob is fired up because Democrats called ICE Nazis and the Gestapo. And now they're calling them slave catchers.
This reminds me historically of it's not a clear analogy, but when the nation, when these political factions divided the nation in between slaveholders and slave catchers, with ICE running around LA, forcing people to make choices. Will they protect their friends, their neighbors, their family members?
That makes Barack Obama the biggest slave catcher in America because he had Tom Homan rounding up a record number of illegals. So after lying to us, extorting us, and then calling us Nazi slave owners, Democrats are covering up the riots like Biden's brain.
It's no different than when a team wins a a national championship and people get overexcited and they overturn vehicles and light them on fire. Local law enforcement is prepared to handle those types of situations. Marines and National Guardsmen are not.
Yeah, Dodgers fans went a little nuts when they beat the Yankees, but this is a 5-day riot. Pelosi said cut them some slack. People are just feeling a little exuberant.
When there is a gathering, a large gathering of people, the anarchists see it as an opportunity and they move in. So always have to be careful whether you see a burned car, a broken window, or whatever it is. It may be the exuberance of the moment, but it may be the anarchist setting in.
Guys, I just can't believe what I'm watching right now. Absolutely insane. There's even more to this video that you got to watch, guys. So I appreciate y'all watching to this point. Guys, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about all this, because things in Los Angeles just went from bad to outright insane. And the Democrats, they're not just letting it happen. They're backing the chaos. This just blows my mind. Like, the comments that Pelosi is saying, first of all, why is Pelosi even still here, guys? She should have retired from politics forever ago, but that's a whole nother video. Anyway, guys, continue watching, guys. It just gets crazier and crazier.
Maxine Waters, no relation, says, what violence? I don't see any violence.
Even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed. Get it in your head. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know.
I didn't see violence is the new I didn't see Biden decline. The whole country sees violence on their TVs, on their phones. Stelter says, don't be confused by what you watch. The violence could be from 2 hours ago.
You got to be careful at a delicate moment like this to look at the timestamps, look at the dates, look at when things are actually posted, and if they're really from the situation they're purporting to be. A lot of these algorithms are surfacing hours old or even days old content. So you might be looking at a video of something, wondering what's happening in LA. It's actually from 2 days ago. And that's, it only matters because it can give people a false impression of what's actually happening at a moment of unrest.
Where would we be without Brian Stelter to explain the concept of time? The riot started on Friday, and today is Tuesday. LA County Police say you should believe your own eyes.
Every single police officer and deputy sheriff right now wants this to end. Unfortunately, the governor of California is 100% adding fuel to the flames. His rhetoric is one thing. What he says is one thing. What he does is another. He is absolutely part of the problem that we're seeing here. And so there is a lack of cooperation with the state of California and local officials.
Gavin's giving folks room to riot just like tampon. Same thing happened in the summer of love. Democrat governors let violence fester until finally Trump restored order. Trump's not waiting around this time. He says if it wasn't for him, LA would be up in smoke.
Called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last time we gave him a little additional help, you would have, Los Angeles would be burning right now. The radical left, it's usually radical left, and it's usually governors that are Democrat, and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is.
Guys, California is so messed up right now. It's so sad, the tragedy that's happening right now. Just a year ago, their state was burning to the ground because of wildfires, unprecedented wildfires. And now their own citizens are literally, and the illegals and citizens are burning their own state to the ground, guys. Guys, if you're from California, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your perspective is. What's going on here? This is absolutely unprecedented. Keep watching the clip, guys. A lot more to unpack.
Newsom responded, and he said there wasn't a phone call. He said Trump never called him. Not even a voicemail, he said. But John Roberts got Trump's call logs, and it shows Trump called him late Friday night, and they talked for 16 minutes. Why would Newsom lie and claim Trump never called him? Why would he do that? Gavin could have called up the Guard Friday night and could have stopped the violence and saved millions of dollars in damages. But we're now on our 5th day of mayhem, and Newsom suing Trump to send the Guard home. And California congressmen, they're telling the National Guard to disobey orders.
The legal provision Donald Trump is relying on to deploy the National Guard under 10 U.S.C. Section 12406, he is violating the law because that provision very clearly says that the governors of the states have to give the order, and Governor Newsom clearly didn't do that. And this is very important. I ask every National Guard member to read their orders, read the law, and then decide for themselves if they're following an unlawful order.
Ted Lieu's a lawyer, and he doesn't know what the law is. Presidents have mobilized the Guard and overruled governors before. Washington did it for the Whiskey Rebellion. Grant sent federal forces to South Carolina to stop the Klan from preying on blacks. Eisenhower used the 101st Airborne in Little Rock when the Democrat governor there was fighting desegregation. And Kennedy put down segregationist rallies in Mississippi. Trump's just wielding the power that the country gave him in a landslide. He swept the battlegrounds, won the popular vote, and moved almost every county in the country to the right, including LA County. And he's not the one who mandated vaccines and censored you and prosecuted his rivals and disobeyed the courts. That was AutoPen. The Democrats can't control the narrative anymore. Trump's not a dictator, and these riots are violent. They said no one's above the law. Remember that? But they let illegals break into the country and then hide them in their cities and then attack ICE when they move in to do their job. These riots are getting no cultural traction, none. No one's posting Mexican flags on Instagram. No one's taking a knee with a sombrero. Companies aren't being blackmailed into donating millions to an open borders charity. It's not happening like BLM, remember? These LA riots make January 6th look like a picnic. And Karen and Gavin couldn't stop fires, clean up the homeless, fight crime, or shut down the virus. What makes you think they'd shut down this riot? Is the real reason they're fighting ICE this hard because the more migrants they deport from California, the less congressional seats the state gets? Remember, the census counts people, not citizens. So they're burning down their own city to maintain political power. If they're capable of that, they're capable of anything.
Now, guys, if you're tired of the left blaming America while our cities are burning, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up like button. Let's help get this truth into the algorithm where the mainstream media won't go. Now, let's be crystal clear here. These weren't peaceful protests. Y'all saw the clips, guys. Y'all saw the videos there. They weren't exuberant crowds like Pelosi said. No, this was a full-blown siege on American soil. They were waving foreign flags, burning Old Glory, and calling it war. Guys, one organizer literally said, "This is war." And what did the Democrats do? They stood with the mob. Karen Bass, mayor of Los Angeles, actually said the riots will stop if ICE stops doing their job. Guys, that's not leadership. That's extortion. That's a hostage situation. And she's holding her own city hostage for political gain. Guys, you don't get to set fire to your streets and then demand that the federal government stand down. And the media, they're covering up like always. CNN won't interview the rioters because they know the answers will expose just how radical this movement really is. These are people that are openly calling for socialism, cheering on the Soviet Union, and saying that they've been here before America even existed. Guys, these aren't patriots. They're revolutionaries, and not the good kind. Meanwhile, Democrats are publicly declaring their support not for ICE, not for our border agents, not for the people that actually live here and call this place home and who are actual citizens of the United States, but they're doing it for the rioters. They're telling police to stand down while anarchists burn neighborhoods to the ground. Why? Because chaos equals control, guys. Chaos equals control. That's the left's playbook right now. We saw it with BLM. We saw it with Chaz, and now we're seeing it here again. But here's where it gets even sicker. They're not just fighting ICE because of compassion. They're fighting ICE because of power. Understand, it's all about power. The more illegals they keep in California, the more congressional seats that they hold there. The census counts people, not citizens. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but I think that that's kind of messed up. Why would the census be counting people and not citizens? So when ICE does its job, it threatens their grip on D.C. That's why they're defending the mob. That's why they're willing to let the city burn. And then we've got to talk about Donald Trump, guys. He took decisive action. He called in the National Guard. He moved fast. He protected property and lives. Newsom lied, claimed that Trump never called him. Jesse Watters literally showed the call log there, guys, on the screen. Trump called for 16 minutes on Friday night. So why would Newsom lie about this? Because stopping the violence, guys, this is the answer. Stopping the violence wasn't the goal. Feeding it was the goal. Democrats are now telling the National Guard to disobey orders. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all catch that? Think about that. They're encouraging lawlessness from the top to the bottom, guys, on the streets, now in the armed forces. And then they have the gall to compare ICE agents to slave catchers. That would make Barack Obama the biggest slave catcher of them all. His administration deported record numbers. Guys, this is the same old game. Lie to us, gaslight us, call us names, and then hide the truth and play the victim. But guys, it's not working anymore. No one's posting Mexican flags on Instagram. No one's taking a knee with a sombrero. There's no woke corporation giving $10 million to some open borders fund. The narrative is collapsing. The left can't spin this one anymore. And here's the real question, guys. If they're willing to let their own cities burn to protect their power, what else are they willing to do? Do me a favor, guys. Drop a comment down below. Where do you stand on this insanity that's happening there in California? Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the real news that the media is not even going to touch. And guys, if you want to help me keep pushing truth out into this chaotic world, consider becoming a channel member, guys. We're just getting started. God bless you. I'll see you in the next video.